Hey, I'm Joe Dombrowski, and my memories are currently bringing up a lot of past trauma. There's a lot that happened in my life, and I want you to hear about it, which is why I just gave it all away to the public for free. Make sure you tune in. I love you, and you love me too. Don't act.
Okay, cool.
You ready?
What is up, everybody, and welcome.
Oh, sorry, I wasn't ready yet.
You said,
Sorry,
are you
like,
ready? Oh my
Picking
God.
I said, are you ready? Then you used to start talking.
Okay.
But now I'm ready now. We are back. It's another episode of Callbacks. I wanted to be the first person to introduce the podcast, and my little trick worked.
What's up? I'm Sam Salem, and this is my co-host, Danny Needs to be the Center of Attention Sellers.
Big main character energy for another slapper of an episode. Episode 6. We actually know the number of
We know the number. Look at us doing this.
Production value,
We
high
love that.
quality. Vibes.
We love that. Well, it's going to be a banger of an episode, but before, you like to get a little mental health check before we dive on into things. So let me lay it on me.
Yeah, if you're listening to this, we are in two different spots. Currently remote, trying. Technology is crazy, but yeah. But unrelated though, my mental health. I feel like my mental health is like a cold piece of pizza. Like for all things considered, it's good, but it's really not good.
Like
You
it would
ever had like whenever you eat a cold piece of pizza the next day, it's like, oh, this I needed it because I'm hungover from the night before, but I would never eat cold pizza in any other circumstance.
right.
That's my mental health right now. You know?
Yeah, like I was good, but I'm a little past expiration. Like
Right.
technically, there's no health concerns if I eat this, but
Yeah.
like, it's not what your body needs.
It was better last night when I was drunk. That's what it. that's what my
funny.
mental health is right now.
I love it. I need you. Sorry.
No, I'm asking
Yeah,
you. How are you doing?
I got a lot of misplaced anger in my life right now.
Yeah.
Just life stuff going on, and so I'm out the classroom. It's a 2-week spring break coming up in LA, and I'm back visiting family before that. So I'll be a good few weeks out of the classroom, and I need it because I got kids who are being kids, but I'm having to stop myself from popping off on them. Like this kid was being very like crossed the line misogynistic and like terrible, and he kept referencing head and like telling and I popped off, and like because I told him like stop, like what he's doing is not okay, and I tried like reasoning and being the appropriate adult, and finally I'm like, bro, you're acting like anyone would ever want to give you that. You smell like outside.
Oh my god, bro! That's funny.
And that's what got him, because then he got like, then his friends were like, and I knew he was just like, haha, that's funny, and that's what got him to stop. But then he said to me, Mister, how do you even know what head is? And
son, I've been getting head for too many years.
I didn't say anything. I just moved on. But I think it was a divine act. God came down and stopped me, because I really wanted to say, because that's what your mom was giving me on the ride over. Like, it was...
That's crazy. That would have been me.
I know, that would have been way too far, but just the comedian brain, I'm like, you just gave me an alley-oop.
As a teacher saying that is
say
crazy.
that? Yeah, you got it fired. I'm so glad I did. I mean, I might make you cut this even from the episode right now. Like, I would have never said that to a kid, but I was just like, whatever. Anyway, and then that same kid a little bit later, because I just was calmly telling him, hey, you can't stand on your desk. He told me he was going to find out what car I drive and wait for me outside in the parking lot. And I was, again, it took everything not into me to be like, bro, I'm grown. Like, I would never harm you, but like,
This
you're
little
5'7",
musty,
you're 5'7", 120 pounds. Like, don't act like you're that guy. So
little musty gangbanger. That's crazy, bro.
It's good.
The fact that you told him he smelled like outside that's comedy. That's 100% comedy.
Because if you're gonna roast a kid, you got to say something that like
Yeah.
isn't actually what outside fresh flower like.
Nah, yeah.
It's funny because it is mean, but it's actually like outside doesn't smell worse than inside. It's not actually mean. It just sounds like it's like
But
the
you
person
know what
is
it
like,
smells though. Like,
you look like you're easy to draw. Like that's like a funny like
yeah.
that's like a diss, but it's also like wait, what does that even mean? So
also if you smell like outside, inside, it is a different vibe. Like, ooh, the vibe is off right now. Like you was doing a little bit too much outside, and we need to address this. So that's actually phenomenal. And the number one thing to be insecure about, we talk about this every episode, but I think because we're reminiscing, it makes you think about it. It's either, we've already talked about boo-booing in class, but being musty is like the most consistent fear as anywhere from 11 to honestly 18 years old. It's being
100%.
musty.
100%.
That whole like most of that decade is like, yo, am I musty right now?
Dude, I remember in like 5th grade, I was like late on a lot of stuff. It was like 5th grade and I still wasn't wearing deodorant, and like someone like just farted in class and it smelled so bad, and I like put my shirt like over my nose, but then I smelled myself. I'm like, this is just as bad. And I just remember walking the rest of the day like just so tight.
And it doesn't help. That doesn't help. You still stink.
Yeah.
You can do about it.
But now if that happened to me, I would just like, obviously I'd be a little embarrassed, but I would just own it. Like as an adult, I'd be like, hey everyone, I smell terrible today. Just FYI, I know that. Just in case you think I don't know.
Right,
I know that I smell terrible. But as a kid, you're like, if anyone, I smell like outside. If anyone finds out, I'm done. One more thing on the mental health check. Let me just pop off for a second.
Please do.
I've had to I've had to swing by some hospitals recently, and whoever was in charge of, I don't care how you feel about capitalism, whoever was in charge of charging you money to park in the parking structure at a hospital, I hope you have a loved one who is in dire need and you're worried you're not going to see them before they go. And the parking lot ticket thing gets jammed and it takes you 10 extra minutes. And ultimately your loved one makes a fully recovery and everything ends up great. But in those 10 minutes, you're panicking because the parking ticket structure is malfunctioning. You're a monster. I should not have to pay $11.
Yeah, it's never cheap. It's never like $1. Oh, 50 cents. It's not like the Aldi coin thing where like, okay, let me just put a quarter to get something and get back out. Yeah, and big capitalism.
And this is in the Midwest, small town, $11. Yeah. People are either going to the hospital because a baby, which they don't need to be spent. They got a baby they need to take care of. Or it's something horrible and they don't want to be there. And you're going to charge me $11. I hope every day of your life you step on a Lego hard. Whoever thought of that.
Yeah, it's definitely someone. I don't know. I feel like only place. This sounds weird, but I just went to IKEA. IKEA always has for the amount of traffic that it has, it does always kind of have a decent vibe in the parking lot. Like it's always hella space because they always build them in like the outskirts of a big town. So it's like hella parking spots. Like if LA was built like an IKEA, I think it'll be a way better place to live. Like just one way, there's nice little sightseeing. There's cheap hot dogs.
Right.
If that,
meatballs.
Exactly.
IKEA's Swedish? We should have let the Swedes design LA.
Facts. Yeah. Shout out to the original whites. I don't know
that Danny said that. If you're listening, that is not Sam who is saying shout out the original.
I waited about 7 minutes this week to get into race.
This is the quickest it's ever come up.
We're getting better. Also, my little ism for this week. Once again, every single week, I'm going to talk about a little bit.
What does that even? Is that a thing anyone else says? Like that doesn't.
I don't think
I got
so.
these isms, and I'm like that doesn't like.
I don't
McCarthyism, racism. You just are obsessed with isms. Okay, great.
Theories,
but it's life lessons with Danny, but he calls them isms.
Can I speak now, or are we?
This
is getting kind of weird. No. So I feel like in my life right now. I'm in between a lot of things. It feels like every conversation I have, it feels like I'm not fully articulating maybe my thoughts enough, or people don't really understand what I'm trying to do enough, and it just gets. I've been feeling very restless in a bunch of different scenarios, and I feel like some of it might be, and I'm trying to relay this to people that are listening to. Is sometimes when you're just working on stuff and you're progressing through life and you're trying to make things happen, sometimes people have to meet you where you're at times, right? It doesn't always mean that you are wrong in your in-betweenness or your period of transition where we don't really get what you're talking about. And for me, it's like writing, it's stand-up, it's acting, it's meeting with agents, it's all this stuff that is like, why is this not really progressing in the way that I want it to progress? Sometimes it's you having to kind of put your heels in and be more consistent in what you're doing versus trying to appease all this web of things. And I don't want to make it just about stand-up because I know people that aren't just comedians listen to the show. But it can be whatever, a promotion. You're up for a promotion and it might be you and 2 other people. And you feel like, why the fuck am I not getting this promotion? This is my second time being up for this promotion. Sometimes instead of just trying to appease to this hiring manager and that hiring manager and get coffee with everybody else, it's like, fuck it, I'm me, and I'm going to do me, and I'm gonna wait for and allow people to come meet me where I'm at, and that'll make me a better person in the long run. So
Right.
I just had this thought like this past week. I'm like, bro, none of my conversations I felt like we're progressing. Nothing felt like it was linear. Like, okay, that's the next step, the next step, the next step. It was always just this gray area. And I think I was just trying to do a little bit of too much of everything and not just be like true to who I am.
Right. I think like the, however you want to say it, like, God's timing or the world works in, it's
Facts.
If you love something, set it free, you'll come back, all that stuff. I think people can tell when you're like going off that, people can tell when you're like desperate. Like there's been times in comedy where I'm like, I'm going to go to this show to network this person and I'm going to like talk to them and then become their friend and then they're going to invite me to be on their show, where it's like, yeah, that's not going to work. But when you just show up and you're like, I'm going to be me, because the people who don't mess with me, then it's not going to be good. Like I'm going to be a fake version of myself just to win them over, and now I have to be that fake version forever. Whereas like the times where I'm just like, okay, I'm going to be myself, people are like, okay, we need to call the cops, get this guy out of here. No, with the times when I'm like, I need to be myself, like that's when people are like, authenticity attracts people. So to your point, it's like, if you're having to force stuff, it's like you can't go 100% to anything or buddy you're trying to attract. You move towards it, but they got to come a little towards you as well.
And at the end of the day, in this business, everything, I mean, I'm going to say this and I'm going to contradict myself. There is a lot of stuff that is repeats, and it's probably part of the reason. It's kind of what's wrong with Hollywood to a degree, which is all these remakes and whatever. But I think to break out, a lot of it is you making something that's unique, that is different, that is fresh. So you got to really be mindful of that, of asking for advice and listening to people and hearing people talk. But also you got to still be you, because if you try to be somebody else, dog, you're going to be 40 still trying to figure it out. Not to say that's young or old, but if you've been doing this as long as a lot of us have been doing, that's decades of doing it, and you're not going to be anywhere significant. Right. So shout out to all the people that are trying to make it happen. Shout out to the dreamers. Shout out to the African Americans. Sorry, I had to bring it up one more time before we get into our today's guest.
And that's been Isms with Danny. Danny's with the Isms. I got one more thing. Have you been getting like feedback from people you're actually friends with in real life on this podcast at all? Because
yeah, a little bit.
My parents listen to the podcast, and
hey,
hi, mom and dad, love you guys. My dad, like just today, he was like, so there's one thing you mentioned about, like, he will just say stuff like, that's actually not true, the reason why our family did that or this, and I'm like, oh, I'm really sorry. He's like, no, I don't need to apologize. I don't need to apologize. I'm just setting the record straight. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
But 2 episodes ago, was it Niles Abston we had on, and we were talking about Drake, and my mom texted me like, you're talking about Drake and didn't mention me? And I was like, what, are you a big Drake fan? She's like, no, that was our Mother's Sundance at your wedding. We had Drake and you didn't even mention it. So that's a big faux pas on my part, Mom, and everybody out there. Anytime Drake comes up, we got to give a Barb Salem shout out, because we did a little like slow dance to I hope you still feel slow when you stand beside the ocean. And then it was like, I hope you dance. And then all of a sudden it switched to Drake's One Dance. And we were like, hey, yeah. It was aggressively white person dancing. But
it's okay.
Shout out my mom. Sorry for not bringing you up when I brought up Drake. Obviously, when you bring up Drake, you got to talk Barb Salem.
Yeah. It's anonymous. Yeah, we need more checking of Sam. So anybody that knows Sam very well, if he's on here lying, please. I'm still trying to get my get back from our first episode where he did the deepest of dives on me, and I wasn't able to. He scrubbed the internet for all of his facts. So I need y'all in the comments.
No, don't go hunting for that stuff.
Yeah, no.
My little sister now is gonna DM me.
Please.
One that's so crazy is my family is very supportive, and my little sister's so ride or die and like promotes it so much, and she's like, so my brother has a podcast, and he's cool and all, but Danny Sellers, and she literally only talks about how great you are the whole entire time she promotes the podcast. I'm like, yeah, I think Danny's great too, but like you could at least... I honestly think I'm going to come home one days and like one of the family photos of us, it's going to be like you photoshopped in.
Little black kid. This is our mission trip to Kenya. We got this little non-African black baby.
No, come on, we were true Midwesterner church people. If we did mission trips, they were just to the south, the southern states.
Oh my goodness, man! You want to get into the guest?
I cannot wait to get to our lovely guest. Let's go.
And we are back in this thing. Another episode of Callbacks with a very, very, very smart and educated special guest.
Yes, can't be wasting any more time. Let's get, as we like to do, let's get a proper intro of our esteemed guest. All right, here we go. Our guest today is quite truly the GOAT of comedians with a teaching background. After 8 years of teaching and grinding in the Detroit comedy scene, his fake spelling test April Fool's YouTube video ended up garnering 20 million views and landing him an appearance on Ellen. Yeah, that Ellen. All right. Since then, he's amassed millions of social media followers across all platforms and has gone on tour to sold out comedy clubs and theaters throughout the world. Mr. Worldwide in here. All right. We are proud to welcome on the podcast a lover of Jets Pizza, a former member of the Phi Kappa Tau E-Board, and someone whose fiance is so good looking, they got Vogue Italy sliding in their DMs. Everybody, please make some noise for Joe Dombrowski.
We did it, Joe. We did it, Joe.
Wait. What the audience doesn't know is before this, Sam prefaced this by being like, I usually go like full-blown FBI.
Yeah.
That was a deep dive.
Thanks, man. I mean, I keep my ear to the ground. You know, I just...
Ooh, god damn, that's crazy. You hit it all in one.
Your fiance is aggressively hot. It's kind of crazy.
It's dumb. I always say to him, I go, whenever he cracks a joke in public when we're with friends, I just say, I'll be the funny one. You can't have it both.
He's too pretty to be funny.
Oh my god! And then he's one of these, lifts one weight, shredded. Like I'm like, eats whatever he wants, shredded. I'm like, you know what? If you could play a game called Eat Mashed Potatoes for a week and let me catch up, that'd be great.
And I mean, Ross School of Business, University of Michigan. He's smart. He's getting paid.
Okay, here's the thing: if you did find out where he works currently, don't
I won't say.
it.
I wasn't.
Okay.
I already knew not to. He seems like in a position that is too high up to be messed around with.
Like literally this week, I got a talking to.
Nice.
Classic.
That's when you're doing the right thing.
So don't bring up that he's from Cary, North Carolina. We can
Oh shit! Oh god.
That's where my sister lives. You know.
Did you guys both sign the NDA, or did we go into this raw? All right.
Yeah. Sam's like that. Sam's definitely has some kind of CIA ties. I don't know about.
This is
ride.
uncouth.
Yeah, facts. I agree.
We get wild here. Joe, like I mentioned, I mean, obviously you're a true comic. You're not just one of those people who just got a social media following that's like, I'm gonna do comedy now. Like you've been doing this, but you're a social media star in your own right. So we like to introduce a new segment called "Don't Read the Comments," because they say not to read the comments, but we all do it. Come on, we're only human.
We have
so we've got some wild comments lately, specifically on one reel in particular. Do you have any though? Before we get into ours, do you have any like just ones that pop out to you of crazy comments?
I'm not a gun person. And my whole thing is I'm not going to talk politics unless I can make it funny. Like that's my whole thing online, because let me tell you what, people should have to take a ethical test before they are granted permission to access a keyboard. People are out here. Like, yes. Mima's over here writing the wildest Facebook statuses I've ever seen.
Mima.
So, I wrote yesterday, I said, I don't know who needs to hear it, but you don't need your gun. Like, you literally don't need it. You'll find another hobby. It might be taxidermy, putting antlers on rabbits, but you will find another hobby. Yeah. I thought it was funny, right?
Yeah.
Now, before I say this, there were some people who disagreed with me super respectfully. Like, I'm about to go to Nashville, ironically. And people were like, I don't agree with you. I love my gun. I feel like I need it, but I can't wait to see you next weekend. And I'm like, cool. What a great way to disagree.
That's what America should be.
You could have balance, yeah.
This woman told me that I am the biggest fucking libtard she had ever met in her whole life. Correction, bitch, I never met you. This was a one-way friendship up until now.
You're like, I didn't even know you exist. You know
I didn't even know
who I am.
existed. Beth Stevens. I'll name the bitch. And,
nice.
And then on top of that, she kept going, it's people like you are why this society's rotting. I hope you burn in hell. And then the whole thing before that was all why she needs her gun, okay? Because this bitch is convinced that the government is going to take her ass down. And if she don't got her AK LMNOP, she's... So I'm a little slutty little sleuth, too, Sam. So the first thing when people pop off to me is I go to your profile and see what I can find on you. And more often than not, it's the saddest situation. I'm like, Beth Stevens, did you want me to know you were a hoarder or were you waiting for me to figure it out? But the best part about it is she's one of those people who post stories, but to where it looks like little tiny grains of rice across the top of your screen. There's like you know what I'm talking about?
A bunch of them.
Like so every single one was she was all over the place, and it was like, can you believe this trans man stole this award for swimming? Like just blowing people out of the water. Then it was guns. Then it was abortion. Then it was a peaceful letter to the Lord. And I literally...
Nice.
And I was watching this, and I was like, Beth Stevens, I just got to tell you what. If an Instagram story slide made you so emotional that you could not control yourself, you're the exact person who shouldn't have a gun.
Right. What are you going to do with that gun? What are you going to do? You're just going to pop off.
Big Beth.
I'm still pissed.
Seems like she'd pop off with a gun like she's popping off Instagram stories. So that doesn't seem stable. But
not to mention the boots. Oh my God. She had
no style.
The boot. They were these rickety, rockety. Here's the thing. I don't do a combat boot.
Roasted,
and I'll judge a bitch who does wear a combat boot because you're 37, Beth. You're not a Gen Z walking these streets like you just got out of college. Put your Doc Martens on like the rest of us lesbians and get in these streets and go fishing. Get out of here.
Go.
Oh,
Amen.
bitch, I'm hot right now.
You know what? I needed this too because I
can like feel it.
We already talked about this on another podcast, so I'm not going to talk about this specific comment. But this guy commented that I had shoulders of a clothes hanger, and I went super off, and I blew up his picture so I could see what he's looked like and like screenshot it. And Danny's like, "You have the picture on your phone? You're a serial killer."
That's evidence. That's evidence.
And sometimes I go too hard with it, or I get people like. It's always the toxic dudes who like comment something crazy. Like this guy was like, "Oh, you think you're some big tough big shot with your Instagram following?" And then he's saying all this toxic stuff, and I click on his Instagram profile, and his biography says, "Hi, it's me. I'm the problem. It's me." I'm like, don't talk all this stuff if you're just it's the Taylor Swift fans. I can't.
Correct me if this has happened already, but I want to do a show like Catfished, but we're not looking for catfish. We're finding trolls.
Yes, I'm in.
Is that
What's that one? There was kind of a show back in the day where it would be bullies fighting UFC fighters. What was that? It was on like Spike TV. Remember that back in the day?
I didn't know
these
Spike
guys
TV,
that were
like that.
Like these bullies, and they would fight these kind of popular UFC fighters before the UFC became big.
Oh yeah,
so it was
called
almost
Celebrity Deathmatch.
Right, it was something. No, but it was like real though. Right.
I remember that one
back
too. Now
that was a good show. Yeah, it was literally so these like bullies would get like tapped out within 5 seconds by like legit UFC fighters, slowly on like low budget cable television for no money. So anyways,
honestly, do you guys remember Scared Straight?
Yeah.
Bring it back. Yeah. Bring it back. The worst thing that ever happened to these kids is that show going off the air. Right. I literally, if it was still on my air, I'd say to my students, I will call Scared Straight. I will. Hello, CBS. I got one for you. I would do that.
I love that.
Season 40.
People, it's children. I mean, you used to be a teacher. I'm still in the classroom a little bit, substituting. Kids don't necessarily need to be bullied, but there's some adults out there that need to be bullied a little bit because they're just a little too.
A little bit.
Yeah, you stand more 10 toes on that. I mean, another.
We should
comment that
bully adults. We should
Yeah.
bully adults.
Bro.
I'll say it. You can't say it. I'll say it.
One of my crazy comments was whatever, had this viral video that was like, basically the joke was a student told me I had to be a feminist because my wife makes more money than me, and it was just like, haha, funny, whatever. And this woman commented, if my husband told me that he was a feminist, I'd divorce him. I'm like, he sounds like he should divorce you already. Like, what is, like, what?
This is a mean lady.
What is these angry people?
Absolutely. And her name was Beth Stevens.
Right, exactly. She's just trolling all the teachers. My annoying thing isn't a comment. So I'm a comedian too, Joe. And I had someone who wants to be a comedian. I know, I'm sorry. You don't know. You had no idea.
know.
I know. But anyway, I had someone who wants to be a comedian, I guess, DM me a flyer of someone else's bringer show that he wasn't on. Like, he just did, with no context, he just DM'd me this flyer. So I hit him back like, are you on the show, bro? He was like, no, I just know the guy.
So
like,
he was
bro,
promoting a show that was going to be terrible that he wasn't even on, and
Yes.
you don't know him really.
Yes. And I'm trying to be better about just being nice to people, but this is why I don't feel like I should be nice to people all the time. Because, like, bro, you're wasting the energy it takes for me to just reply, ha, 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 is too much for this thing you just sent me. Why are you sending me this, dog? You're not even on the
That
show, and the
is
guy's not
weird.
even funny.
Can I tell you my pet peeve right now? This
Please
is a little
do.
inside baseball for all your non-comedy fans listening. When a booker or a club owner puts themselves on the lineup. Why?
Oh,
That is some 1994 bullshit. It's
Yes.
not today.
Yes.
Dude, too many. Anytime I meet someone who loves working in comedy but has no aspirations to be a comic, I'm like, dude, you're an angel. Like, you're the best person.
Right.
Just too many people are like doing their. I've seen a club. I mean, club is a very loose term for the arena that this, or not arena, but venue that this guy runs. But I've seen him just walk an audience doing his tight five cold open before the comics even get up there. And it's like, stop. Anyway,
You talking about our guy in the valley in North? Oh, yeah. I was going to say it at first, but you didn't say it, so I'll follow your lead. 'Cause I was going to say it, 'cause I've never been there.
I feel like he's someone who. What was your? You used her government name. What was the lady who got mad at you with the guns?
Beth.
It was Beth Stevens.
He gives off Beth Stevens energy, so I'm not trying to do that.
Oh, yeah. No, we don't need that.
I don't know if, real quick before we get into our main segment, if you had any of the comments from our most viral reel from this podcast was like, there's a girl's name Desiree, but it was spelled Dezarea, and I pronounced it Desaria in class, and like it was just whatever. And
They
we
lit your
posted
ass up, didn't they?
Yes. Danny did. Danny got.
No.
I spelled it out for. Oh, the kids did.
Like the comments probably lit your ass up.
Well, yes, but there was a lot that was funny, but
Yeah.
what got crazy, Danny at the end of it is like laughing and just very playfully is like, Sam, that is the whitest shit I've ever heard in my life, and you should be ashamed. And there's some crazy people in the comments, what? So I can't say that's the blackest thing I've ever heard, just going crazy in the comments. And it's like, why do you have a desire to say that in the first place?
A lot of soft launches of racism in the comment section. It's
soft
tight.
launching their racism.
It's tight though.
That's their version of when people just
God.
post the Instagram story of them holding their significant other's hands but no face. That's
Yeah, right.
That's what they're doing for racism.
The worst.
Segregation.
I love it. Cool. Should we get to our main segment of
Let's
Save
do
the
it.
Date?
I would love nothing more.
Okay, Joe, we're gonna keep it with. I should have
PG.
already had this prepped. Joe Dombrowski, or as he used to be referred to as, I didn't know this, but he was Joey D. He was professionally Joey D until he went on Ellen, and right before Ellen was like, "Hey, what name are you going by?" And that's when he decided to be Joe Dombrowski. So
Listen to me here. To this day I'm bitter about it. I wish I first of all, any close family or friends who know me for real, like before any of this, call me Joey. Like sometimes, like Gasper, if he'll be around like my family and they're all like Joey, he's like, what the fuck? But like people, like that's why I love it, and that's who I was. And they literally asked me, they're like, well, what do you want us to call you? I was like, oh fuck. And I was just so caught where I'm like, I think I think this is when I start going by Joe Dombrowski.
Right,
I wish to God I still went by Joey D because
Joey
I
D.
feel like him.
Yeah.
That is me. That's my essence.
Dude, well, Gasper is his co-host on his podcast, for those of you who aren't aware, which you should be, because Social Studies, great podcast with Joe Dombrowski. Check it out.
You've been on it.
I have been on it. Check out that episode. I didn't realize you have Italian heritage. I didn't really realize how Italian you are until Joey D, or you'll text me stuff like bada boom. Like I'll literally be like, hey, can we move the podcast back 15 minutes? Yeah, it works. And you're like, bada boom. Like the way you text is like some like New York, Brooklyn from the 50s.
The way you
Italian.
text is like you just got out of West Point. You're constantly sending me this salute and shit. I'm like, look down at the boat shoes, my guy. What's happening?
Sam's the police. That's what it is.
It's like, what?
One of my friends told me I'm no longer allowed to end text messages with no worries if not, because I'm just so self-conscious all the time. I'm just like, it'll be like my best friend. I'm like, hey, do you want to hang out tonight? No worries if not. Sorry for even asking.
You do that a lot.
That's hilarious. That's so funny.
My biggest fear is being a bother to people. You know.
See, Joey D would say bada boom, though.
Yeah, that's why.
In fact, still does, actually. So
that's why you should still be.
Boom.
Okay, so you're a social media star, like I've said, but I hate when people say that about me because you're actually like a real comedian. So like,
you're almost at 100,000 followers on Instagram.
It's a lot of followers.
Trying to keep up with you. I mean, you got past the 666K, which is good. You know.
Oh, thank the Lord. So she was out here in these streets doing it for the double taps, trying to make a coin or two with 0 followers. I was trying to pull a started from the bottom. Now we're here moment.
Right. Which
So
eventually you did.
Honestly, the 2011s, mainly, really 2012 to 15 was a nasty time of social media for all of us. Because remember when Instagram, for a hot second, Instagram wasn't even out for Androids. Like only iPhone people could have Instagram.
Yeah.
So then when everyone got it, it was like a shit show and a free for all. Like our parents weren't on Twitter or especially Instagram. We were just taking pictures of like food and like sunsets with the crispy filters and stuff. It was a lot of cringe. We did an episode on ourselves as our first episode, and I'm embarrassed still to this day when I listen back to it. But
how old are you?
30.
Okay, so we're all talking in
college.
the same area.
Yeah, this is college. Okay. Yeah, so especially you're drunk, you're leaving a party, just tweeting this nastiness.
Joe would be like a year or two before tweets, but he would be just randomly like live tweet 3 times RuPaul Drag Race and then just not tweet for a year. And I'm just like, that was social media. You would just get into it for
it wasn't.
No one was like, let me have like white borders around my Instagram picture. It was just like, I'm gonna do it when I feel like it, and who cares if it's perfect or not. It was
yeah.
I didn't find a Tumblr, so don't worry if that's out there, because I'm sure everyone's messier on Tumblr from that era.
I never got in the Tumblr wave. I'm kind of jealous. I never caught that wave.
I did, but it was all like other things that I found. Like I never created my own content and put it on Tumblr. It was just basically like an edgy Pinterest board.
Right.
My Facebook, I gotta delete my Facebook from high school, but there were so many cringy like subtweet before Twitter was even a thing, Facebook statuses where I would just post like love song lyrics about someone I didn't even really care about, but I just felt like I gotta be emotional about something right now. It's like
Sam did the thing.
She'll never
went through it.
She'll never love me like she loves you. Like just like
yeah.
That stuff was cringy. So
shout out to social media. Anyway, sorry.
We got to talk about it. April 1st, 2017. We're almost on the 6-year anniversary of it. This is what made you an overnight sensation, who was very much not an overnight sensation.
Big
This
E.
is it.
You take a video of you giving fake. This was kindergarten class, private school, right?
This was 4th grade public school Title I.
Oh,
Trenches.
Yeah, the trenches. Yep.
The Trenches
you are
Elementary.
familiar. Yes,
The Trenches Elementary.
We're speaking the same language.
Was
great.
was it Duncan Elementary in Utica, Michigan?
That was a really good attempt. It was not.
Dang it! I just
that was cute. What you tried. That was cute.
All right, I tried my best. What can I say? But okay, so for those that don't know, which you should check it out. On April Fool's, Joe gives his, or Joey D, as we like to call him, gives his 4th graders a spelling test, but they're all made up silly words with silent S's and Q's. and it like pretty instantly gets 20 million views and lands you on Ellen DeGeneres.
It was
And your
crazy.
I remember. Oh, go ahead.
No, go for it. My principal, what?
I just remember your principal called you in, and like there was an article that's like, "Hot gay teacher pranks students." Like it was like some clickbait, and you're like, "Yeah."
And he was like,
"None of this is
he
bad."
like slid it across. He's like, "What do you think of this?" And I was like, "It was a UK article," and I was like, "I think the UK thinks I'm hot. What do you want from this?" And it was. I remember. I'll never forget. So it was like viral over like. Honest to God, I don't think this type of viral happens still.
No,
really,
there's like too much
I don't.
content. There's like too much content out there.
Yeah, like I listened to people talk on, and they're like, "Oh my God, I went viral on TikTok," and I like go to the page, it's like 5,000 views. I'm like, that's cute.
Right.
But like this had 20 million. I woke up with 20. I woke up, and it was just press. Like so many places were trying to get a hold of me. They were relentless, like calling my school, calling my relatives, calling the kids' parents if they could figure it out. Like it was crazy. So I woke up. There was like a news van outside of our school. My boss like frantically ran into my classroom. He's like, "I know what you did, and I just want you to know that you filmed that on school property, and so technically we own that video." And I was like, "Okay, you don't, but have a blast." And then my superintendent, we are very quickly starting to get asked by like bigger and bigger media. And everybody was like, "This is so Ellen. Like, this is some shit she'll put on the show. Like, this is so that." So my superintendent was like, "If Ellen calls you, you're not to go." And I was like, "Okay."
Why not?
Because he was so scared that it was going to be like a bait and switch situation. Like he was so scared that some media was waiting to take this story and put it in a negative way. I think honestly, he never really said it, but I think he was worried that it would like flip and be like, "This gay guy did this." And he's a gay teacher, and that's bad.
It all comes back to either racism or homophobia. Huh?
For sure. He never said it, though, but I do think that was probably his biggest concern. And it wasn't in a homophobic way. It was more in like I'm protecting you, I'm protecting us way, which I guess it's homophobic. But he was like, "No." And at the minute they called me, I was like, "Yeah." And then I like went back the next week, and I was like, they asked me, I answered, "I'm going." And he was like, "Okay." So he hired a crisis intervention management specialist who wrote down possible questions that they would ask me on the show and coached me on how I was allowed to answer them. And I just did the whole, "Yes, sir. Yep. Mm-hmm," recited it. And then I went on the show. I'm like, "And y'all can get fucked because I'm going to do my thing." Like I was like, I am not stupid. And then I came back with 10K for the school. And like, I was like, and you all knew that this was probably what was going to happen.
Right.
You wasted money on a firm to teach me whatever.
Right.
That's crazy. That was going to be my question. I was going to ask how the school reacted, from just making the content. So that was a really interesting insight.
I mean, you know what I mean? Like any emotion that you could think people would have or reaction happened.
Right.
There were parents who were scared. There were parents who were mad. There were parents who loved it. There were parents who loved it too much because there was a
100%.
parent who was like letting their kid make the media circuits because they were asking like, "What do you think about your teacher?" Like that to me was like too much.
Yeah, pimping
and the
kid up.
same with like the community. Like some people were like immediately they're like, "You need to give all of that money back to the school." I was like, "I have fucking student loans, you dumb bitch." Like no, you know what I mean? Like I don't know, just every reaction that you could think of happened.
Right. It's so funny to me because I've had my experience with a video on school grounds that like all the students were fine with it, the parents were fine with it, but the optics of how it looked were like out of context. It looked bad, so it like makes sense to me. Like, hey, this is negative on the schools. Yours is just so silly and lighthearted and fun, and you can't tell who the kids are. It's so funny to me. Like, and it's Ellen. It's not like they're like, "Hey, we're bringing you on either CNN or Fox News to be like, where is the state of education?" Dude. It's literally like a woman who's going to be like, "Haha, dancing, kids, you're cute, I like you." Like,
literally, the crisis intervention guy was treating it like I was about to go on Jerry Springer. He was asking me questions like, what do you think about racism in America at this point? I'm like, I think I did a fake spelling test.
Right. I would love
class.
to meet. That's what we need to interview next. Is the crisis intervention dude? He's probably like a fake ex-Marine, like not even a real Marine. Just like I went to the recruiting office one time.
You want to know the funny thing? You could tell that he was like, this is a joke. He was
really?
like, I'm getting paid. Like, yeah,
Right.
Like, he was like, what the fuck?
That's a nice gig. Yeah, just
That
like,
is a great gig.
not be actually responsible for the outcome, but just fake help.
Yeah, it was wild. It was truly, truly insane.
So I know
Truly insane.
Ellen, like, kind of, they said, hey, she might get up in, like, during commercials just because it's like a long day. She's got to get water, whatever. But she actually like stayed to talk to you and was like, you're actually funny, like, not just. I know that's
So the whole show, they were like, they knew I did comedy, and they didn't really ever ask me about it, and I never was trying to like skirt their questions and to be like, I'm a comic. I was just like, yeah. They're like, what do you do outside of teaching? I was like, well, comedy. Next,
Mm-hmm.
And then like about 5 interviews later, and then I get to the show, and I'm literally about to go on. Like, I'm not shitting you guys. Like, probably like less than 10 minutes before I hit the stage, they were like, and just so you know, this is not your last comic standing audition. Don't mention that you're a comedian. We're painting you as wholesome teacher. This was an accident. Go. And I'm like, what the fuck?
Right.
So then they told me too, like, this is Ellen's job. So if during commercial breaks she gets up, gets a coffee, fixes her hair, does makeup, doesn't talk to you, don't be offended. Like, she's got a little bit of time to do a lot of stuff. And I was like, okay. So I was expecting her to do that, and she didn't. She stayed in her chair, and when cameras were off, she was like, yo, I heard you're a comic. And I'm like, yeah, and I didn't know what I was allowed to say. And she's like, well, I want you to know that you're really funny. And I was like, well, thanks. And she goes, no, you don't get it. You're like really funny. You need to do something with that. And I was like,
Right.
Oh, wow.
my God. From this person who I've like literally idolized their stand-up. Like I remember my parents showing me her stand-up for the first time, and here she is telling me to keep going. It's crazy.
Right, like a giant in comedy is giving you like a stamp of approval, like
Right.
that obviously. Yeah. Well, so at that point, because now, I mean, you've done a tour in Australia, you've sold out like the Wilbur in Boston, you do sell out weekends easily, comedy clubs, like obviously a proper headliner. At that point, I know you were doing like some host work, you were doing some corporate gigs. You were in the scene and you were like established in the Detroit scene and doing comedy, but like, how were you headlining at that point? Is that what propelled you, or where was your comedy career? I know you were doing it like, okay, extra money, I'm a teacher in the day, comedy at night, I love this. But where was your comedy career before, Ellen?
Not really headlining, and I was also kind of experimenting with like all forms of comedy. So like I was getting into the groove of stand-up being like what I really wanted, but I was also doing sketch, and I was doing improv, and like all these different comedy places in the Metro Detroit area, like, and getting paid to like, do some like corporate things. Not we did have a Second City Detroit, but it closed. But the one that I was mainly at was Go Comedy Improv Theater. Okay. I was literally just doing spots, experimenting with like comedy, what's funny, all these different avenues you can do with it, and doing like spots all over the place for just like a little bit of money. And I think at that point I was really starting to hone it in, but not quite headlining. Definitely to the point where I had a name for myself in the city, but there was never like a come see Joe Dombrowski. He's the person. Right.
And so like that, from that, like you got enough like social media heat and YouTube heat where it was like you were able to parlay that into headline.
What's interesting, I'm sorry, real quick, to that question, a lot of times going back to the little joke Sam made about the overnight success, and I think you even have it on your page about being an overnight success, but it takes a long time. Did you feel like as soon as the opportunity came from Ellen, even though no one really knew you, you still had the time to say, fuck it, I can do a nice 45 or 50 or an hour if I need to because of the work you did even before the videos?
Yeah, no. I actually took a few years after that video went viral to like double down and do it. Because I knew that if I knew I had the moment, right? But I knew I had to like not milk the 15 minutes, but like snowball it and build off of it.
Right.
So I took the time to double down on like online content and writing, and then experiment. And I think it was probably at least a year and a half later after being on the show is when I did like I'm headlining in these areas of the country, because I knew I could. I built an audience, but I also knew I was going to go out there and not be bad.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is smart. I think we've seen a lot of people who get the following first, and then they're like, I'm gonna just do stand up now, and then it's like you're trash. And it's sometimes it's hard to blame people in some ways, because like this is my moment. I can make money. I can fans. Yeah. Like I got to do this. So I think like
I gotta say though, I hate that, because so many times I see these people and I'm like, you know what? They have like they have the elements of humor. They just need to figure out like how to put this machine together. Right. And I always think that sometimes it's the agents and the managers' faults, because they see these people and they're pumping them out and they're like, go in front of a 300-seater, go in front of a 500-seater, go in front of a 1,000-seater. But you'd have been in comedy for 6 months to a year. They know you're not ready, but they know they're getting their 10%. So they're pushing to do it. And it's like a good manager will be like, yo, you will be great. You're not right now. So let's put you on like really good feature spots or in great lineups where you're doing 10, 15 minutes, right? And like get it good, and then maybe you'll co-headline and do a 30, or like, you know, like nurse it and like teach them rather than just throw them out there and make the coin while it's hot.
Right. Yeah. I mean, and I think that's a testament to you. Like you had the awareness to be like, hey, I'm gonna be like, a year is not that long a time. A year and a half is not that long a time, and it's gonna be such a bigger payoff now, which brings us into our final date. If I was smart, I would have had this in front of me already. March 18th, 2023. You just finished taping your your special at the Belasco Theater in LA. I would love to hear the experience. I mean, I want to hear it all. The experience of building that hour. I know at one point I thought I saw you say something like, this hour is going to be focused a lot on teaching, so you can kind of like, let me get all my teaching material out. Maybe not that you'll never talk about teaching again, but it's like, okay, I'm not just a teacher comedian. You have lots of things to say.
Another question I had, but go ahead. I want to hear about the special first.
One thing that I've always idolized about specials is I love a thematic special. I love when somebody can like hone it in for 1 hour on like two or three topics, and like that's what you're watching. And like some comics are great at it, where they're literally all over the place. They'll talk about 100 different things in that hour, but I wanted to get rid of my teaching stuff. I had been doing it for so long, but I have so many other facets of my life that I want to get out there, that I was like, this one is thematically what my life was as a teacher and all that trauma. So I put it all together and workshopped it for about a year probably over a year before it was ready. And then and we did it. We filmed with Don't Tell. They were absolutely amazing. I feel like this was one of the only times where like nobody told me no. Like I'd give them my ideas of like things I wanted to see, and they were like, yes, it's going to be hard, but yes, we'll figure it out. And when I went to see the set for the first time, oh my God, it's blown away. It's gorgeous. It stands out. Because the other thing I was like, for my first special, it needs to stand out. Yeah. And a lot of comedy specials, no shade to anybody, it's like I'm on a theater and there's a red curtain behind me.
I agree.
And I was like, no. So my note to them was, I was like, I didn't really even know what I was trying to say, but I'm like, I don't want it to be a replica of a classroom, and I don't want it to be a replica of a school. I want it to be like a whisper of kids were in this space at one time. Right. And they built cubbies, which kids would use, but it was like a 17-foot tall stack of cubbies with it was so and they were lit from the inside. Like it was clearly not a school, but like based off school. And it, like when I saw it, it's just like, you literally nailed it.
Yeah, I mean, cool. Just the pictures I saw of it were like incredible. So I'm sure like how it actually taped is going to be. I'm really excited to see that.
Yeah, I cannot wait to go down to the first edit.
I first agree. Yeah, a lot of specials aren't special anymore. So I love that you brought that up. I think comics need to respectfully say that more, that a lot of specials are not special anymore, because a lot of us are haters, right? But as a fan of comedy, I try to watch specials and it's like, dog, this doesn't feel like this was supposed to ever be made. Like this was just like another show that I go, oh, I'm gonna go see someone live, and it was a good set, but it's not like a moment. Like to your point about themes, you watch a movie, it's like it's acts, it's first act, second act, third act, and it might not all be the same exact story each act, but it's a through line, and sometimes I think specials are just. They're just bits. It's not really like a special thing.
It's just an hour worth of material, but not necessarily like a whole cohesive thing.
It really feels like someone to the manager stuff. Hey, I have a 3 deal special with ABC streamer or platform, and I got to fulfill my third one, and this is just what I'm doing. Versus like I really have something to say that is unique, and the public needs to hear this.
I love that, Danny. And two, I feel like too, it's. You can't write a special in under a year. If you are, you're a fucking prodigy. You're Rain Man. I don't know what.
Right.
But like you can't. You work so hard for it, and now it's to the point where either you have worked hard enough to be able to finance it, or you've worked hard enough for somebody to buy it. Like that's so special.
Yeah.
You know. So like make it special, and I do feel like I made it special, and I made it. It's exactly what I wanted, and I'm so proud of it. I don't care where it ends up. I mean, I care where it ends up, but I'm like excited for it to be my first impression at this level of my career to the industry and to like more fans. Looking
and
forward
to your
to
point
it.
about life after teacher content or the that material, what are some things even at a high level that you're excited to talk about that like I'm kind of this is the next phase of my life that I want to start talking about more?
The material that I'm writing right now is based off of my engagement and a lot of the ways that like straight people, like the shit that they will say that you do, like you're like, wait, what the fuck are you talking about? Like I'll have people look at me and be so excited. They'll be like, so like, are you the boy or the girl? And I'm like, I'm so offended. Like the girl, obviously, but like, and then like getting married too. Like neither of us are bridezillas, but my mom is fucking hulking out. Like I can't wait to write about that. My parents are getting older. Yep, shout out Mama Fran. And then what's even funnier is like that's gonna be my next one. But my third hour, we are also trying to have kids, and it's gonna. I don't know how that hour is gonna look, but the title is gonna be Daddy's Issues. I love it. I love it.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I think it's impressive to me that you even like. I feel like some of the best I've seen like musical artists who are like, I'm not just gonna drop an album. I have the future projects in mind, like and like that holistic thinking. It usually sets you up for better. For better success artistically.
It's a story.
I know we're winding down here, but you seem to just love art in general. I know you do like pottery or ceramics. Sorry if I
it's okay. That's offensive. You can't say that.
Is it true you went to you go to Cirque du Soleil a lot? You went like
God, yes.
February 13th, 2022 and February 25th. That's like back to back. Mom was in town.
Back to back. I went twice to the same Cirque du Soleil. And here's the thing. I hate a Disney gay and I hate a Disney adult. I hate them. I'm not a Disney gay, but I'm a Cirque du Soleil for sure. Like it's art. It's artistic. It's like not hokey pokey. Like more people gotta go to that shit. Cirque du Soleil is the fucking. I've been to Cirque du Soleil in multiple countries, bitch.
Whoa!
Culture.
Let them know. I mean,
Culture.
I think that's what I'm trying to like. As an artist, I think I do a bad job of appreciating art, and so like. Yeah, doing this deep dive on you, I'm like, man, this guy's going to like not just comedy shows, other shows. You're going to Hump Fest in the film festival with friends, and like I think it's art. Like seeing great art inspires great art, you know. So I think it's impressive. You seem like someone who's always been like not just trying to see stand up, but like all facets of art, which probably helps you.
That was big on my parents, though. They really. It's so funny, like neither of them were raised artsy, but they totally exposed me to a lot of different types of art. Like we were always going to music stuff. They would take me to theater stuff. We would, my dad was a DJ growing up. So
amazing.
Yeah, like in the 90s too. Also like Supersonic and shit. Just like going. We were just very into, like my house was always alive. Like very.
Yeah.
Very, very into it too. Like I'm wearing Keith Haring. Like I knew who Keith Haring was when I was 7, because when it was on like Sesame Street and shit. My parents would like tell me about it. Like I don't know.
Right.
So yeah, it's just like kind of like how I was raised, I guess, which is funny.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Danny, you got anything before we make some plugs? Let Joe get out of here.
This was very, very fun. Shout out to Beth. When we see you, it's on site. No, I'm just playing.
It's on site, Beth. Everyone.
Probably can't say that.
Wait, sorry. Actually, I do have one more thing before I let you plug stuff. Because me and you both teach, and like, let's be honest with the listeners. There's a lot of stuff that happens that's very funny that we can just truthfully like, hey, this happened. But every once in a while, we're comedians. You punch something up a little bit. You kind of like heighten something. Is it true that a kindergartner during Pride Month gave you a card with Cher on it and said, "My mom said rainbow people love Sharon"?
Sure fucking did. Sure fucking
That's
did.
a
I
real-
wish I still had the card. And there was another kid who gave me a wait, I have one of them.
I love this.
Oh, okay. It's you can't see it. It's pinned all the way up there. Sorry, you're looking at the back of my head. But it says, Mr. D, thank you for showing us how to love learning and how to be yourself. Happy Pride to you. I love that you are who you are.
That's so sweet.
It's pretty
That
strong.
shit'll bring it to your knees.
Yeah.
What?
Now, that was some Seattle-ass kid, though. Don't get it twisted. This isn't the whole country.
In leather jacket.
Their name was Persephone.
Yeah,
Right.
like, that kid was 7 years old asking me my pronouns on
Persephone
day
is great.
one. So that was crazy.
That's amazing. I mean, that's the crazy part of
Wearing
teaching
Doc
is
Martens.
like, it'll be like all day long them just doing the most like insane shit. Like, why would you ever do that? And then they'll just do that one sweet moment where you're like, oh yeah, this is
Yeah,
why.
you're cool. You can stay.
Yeah.
Yep, for sure. For sure.
I love that. Joe, well, you're touring right now. Would you like to plug your shit, homie?
Ooh, I'm literally all over the country. That's gay for country. You can.
Cunch is
I'm
crazy.
in Denver this weekend, and then I'm in like Springfield, Missouri, St. Louis, Missouri, Austin, Texas, Madison, Wisconsin, Philly, Charlotte. I'm missing some, but I'm all over the place, and I'm about to announce my fall tour. So you can get your tickets at MrD3.com.
Go see a show. Go support
Yeah.
some live art, some great jokes. He'll melt your face with his humor, ladies and gentlemen.
The Cunch. I'm taking that somewhere. I'm flying across the Cunch.
Yeah, that's wild. That's a wild statement. So. Well, thank you,
Appreciate
Joe.
you.
Appreciate you being here.
Thanks for having me.
What a great conversation. What a great human being. What a funny little burst of energy. I said little. I don't know why I said little. You know what's so funny, too? People say little. Like, oh, little Instagram following.
Yeah, they're trying to
shout out to
belittle
Joe.
you by adding little. Like,
Yeah, shout out to Joe. Shout out to Funny Joe. It's always interesting. I've never really been familiar with like teacher comedy. I know you are a little bit more than I am. So I like hearing how much people are either like still in it or not in it at all, or how raw they are. Like I didn't really expect Joe to be that raw and funny when we got on with him. So that was funny.
dude, I have so much respect for Joe Dombrowski. One, because he is like he's a true comic first. Like when he started comedy, it's not like he was just like I'm only talking about teaching. Like his background is in comedy. Two, he just like we were talking about the segment up top. Like you got to be authentically yourself and like have people meet you. He is himself. Sometimes what I do a bad job of is with my teacher stuff. I'm like, okay, well, I'm pretty clean, so I always have to be this like version of myself. Where it's like Joe is just somebody who's like, I am who I am, and I'm charming and funny. And if you don't like me, I can't win everybody over. But like everyone loves him more because of it. And also, he's super supportive. Like literally, when I first had 30,000 Instagram followers and just started to gain traction, like he literally saw one of my reels, DM'd me, and was like, "Yo, man, I love like this is funny." Like he had so many headliners. He's so busy. Like he's touring the country. He's got great management team doing all these projects, and he's someone. And I've seen him do it with other people as well. Like reaches out and is like has that if I you eat mentality. Like I'm gonna encourage you. Like he talked about Ellen giving him encouragement. Like at my point, I'm still early on in my comedy career. Like someone established like him, just out of nowhere. I don't even know who he is. Just reaching out to me, sliding the DMs to say, "Hey, you're great. Keep going." Like
You called him Big Bro.
we need. He's yeah,
You
big
called him
bro.
big bro.
Yeah, that's big bro right there. But for real, like he has nothing to gain from
No,
just being a nice person yet.
I'm
great.
messing with you. Yeah,
Don't-
that's facts.
Sorry, I love people, man.
Hey,
Sorry,
big bro,
I
give
have.
15 minutes.
I,
Your time.
I fall hard for my friends Danny Sellers.
Hey, big bro, I fucking with the vision. No, I feel you. No, that is important. We all need those little nuggets. Also, I want to interview the Don't Tell guy, man. I feel like Don't Tell's popping. I know we talked about this offline, but he brought up Don't Tell again.
Yeah, that's who. For those of you who don't know, it's a comedy production company that does a bunch of secret shows, and they're always sold out. I'm headlining one of them in Minnesota. It'll be over by the time this airs, but guess what? It's sold out anyway. You can't come even if you knew.
You couldn't even get in that thing, boy. Stop playing with him, boy.
Don't play. Please refer to me as headliner Sam Salem.
Playing with him, boy. Headlining.
Yeah, what's funny about Joe having a background in teaching, I feel like you talked about you got to have vision. Like, there are some really funny comedy specials out there, but yeah, it's just like, oh, this was just an hour worth of jokes, which is still really funny, but like if it's a special, like you want it to be. Yeah. He has such like teacher, like I'm planning the curriculum in a good way. Like my first special has a theme, and then he's already got the theme for his second one, and his third one, like he just sees the whole picture, and it's going to make his body of work so much better. So
big body of works, big jokes, big laughs, big visions. This has been another episode of the Callbacks with thine, Dan,
and Sam. But I always got to say one more thing. We do a bad job of plugging ourselves.
Yeah.
At Follow Sellers on Instagram for Danny. At followsellers.com. His Loans alumni shirt.
Yeah.
Go to followsellers.com. Get you a shirt. I got one.
Yeah.
I made a video about it. It went viral. People love that shirt. I get compliments on it. You can find me on Samuel Sleeves. And please rate and review. I know every podcast says that, but we got a few cute little reviews out there. It really boosts you in the algorithm. It helps us get ads and help produce this whole thing. So if you could like, comment, subscribe, but really send a review out there, we'd appreciate that. We'd love you so much for it.
I'm trying to sell out. I feel like it's too late. I want to read one. This is so hilarious. Danny's reactions to Sam's deep dive is absolutely electric. I've routinely been using my mental health as medium rare when people have been asking how I'm doing. Hi, Reco, this podcast to anyone. Shout out to that person.
Okay, Danny. Out of any review, he reads the one that is just aggressively about him and how great he is.
Yeah, and the other one I was going to read also is, first of all, Danny and Sam. They say my name first, I guess, but she says both of our names. Anyways, shout out to y'all who've been rocking with us. I guess Sam is also super funny too, so I'll give you your credit. But anyways, no, it's been great. This has been fun so far. 6 episodes in till infinity, I guess, or until we both sell out and we have a massive beef where we don't want to talk to each other anymore, but we are millionaires.
Can't wait for that day.
I can't wait to.
Get home safe. We love you.
Mwah, mwah, mwah,
God,
mwah.
the kissing noise.